Hello, everyone. Welcome to the latest edition of the Sunny Coast BNI, its very own podcast called the Referral Wave, Riding the Tide to Success. I'm joined today here with Megan from the Travel Project, and we're going to talk all things travel and the ins and outs of it and her BNI experience so far. So, welcome, Megan. Thanks for being
Thank
on.
you. Thanks, Tony.
You're fresh out of BNI this morning, so you should be all very BNI focused and in gear, ready to go. So anyway, let's start. Let's talk a bit about travel. Tell us about your business.
Okay, so I am a part of a business called the Travel Project, and the Travel Project is actually based in Melbourne, but it was started by a guy called Matt Coyle and his wife Katie. And Matt and I used to work together many years ago for another larger flighty type place. I'm sure you could work it out. And Matt decided that he after years and years with them and a huge amount of experience, wanted to go out on his own. So he is an intrepid man and he opened his own travel agency in November of 2019. And you probably couldn't think of a worse time in travel to open a travel agency than 3 months before COVID-19 hit the world.
Ouch.
So
Yeah.
ouch, that's right. But Matt proved his amazing abilities to pivot and he stayed in business and actually thrived throughout it. His attention to detail and work on customer service really came into the fore, and so he came out the other end with a thriving business. And we had always stayed in touch. And I was just down and I dropped into the shop one day when I was visiting in Melbourne, and he said to me, "Are you back in travel after having been out from having a baby and moving to Queensland?" And I said, "No." And he said, "Do you want to be?" And I said, "Probably don't really want to have a job where I have to answer to anybody." And he said, "Okay, well, what if you don't have to? And what if we can set it up so that you work for yourself and you pick and choose all of it, but you work with us and get all the benefits of being attached to a bigger travel agency with all of its um, access, I guess, to products and to services and that sort of thing, but my own business." And because he is the penultimate salesman, he had me signed up pretty quickly. So here I am.
Oh, that's fantastic. Yeah, well, that's great. And as you say, it allows you to work up here in Queensland, gives him another arm. So talk to me about some of the services and that you provide. I mean, I guess we all know what travel agents do, but I think it'd be good to explain to people just the benefit of using a travel agent like yourself rather than just going online and booking it all
Yep,
yourself.
absolutely. So the tagline for Travel Project is, travel outside the algorithm. And these days, you absolutely can go online and book things. But I think what people have discovered since the emergence of the internet, when everyone got really excited about booking their own travel, is that it can become actually really overwhelming with choice. Um, Often don't know whether you're comparing apples and apples or apples and oranges. So you're looking at a hotel rate in one website, and then you look at another website that doesn't include, is it the same room? Does it include breakfast? All of these sort of questions you're not really sure about. Why is it different? So all of those things are where a really good travel designer can come into play and kind of advise you on all of that and make sure that you're actually getting the holiday that you are wanting, and that your holiday actually starts not just when you get on the plane or arrive at the destination, but right from the beginning, because you're having this great experience of organizing it and getting excited about it and having these choices instead of being stressed out and spending hours and hours and every night trying to work it all out online. But I think probably one of the big things of why using a travel agency is beneficial did come out in the whole COVID period. Like anyone who had any travel booked in that time discovered that airlines are happy to leave you on hold for 10 hours, that if you're trying to get a refund or make a change through a hotel or a supplier, that can be really tricky. Whereas ultimately, if you've booked that with a travel agent, then you can really take that off your plate and it becomes my problem. So I think that, both in terms of the experience of having a holiday starting well before you go on holiday being positive is the first reason. But then if things aren't going well or something happens or there is an emergency, having that person there that's kind of your backup that can just take that pressure off you is the other really important piece of using a travel designer.
Yeah, and I like the way you use the term travel designer because that's exactly what it is. But you know, I mean, it boils down to me as a no stress option. You know that someone's got your back when you're away. You know that, as you say, if I turn up and they haven't got a room booking or whatever, or a flight gets delayed, you've just got someone there looking after you. It became apparent to me a few years ago. And I used a travel agent before I'd met you, so don't worry. But the my son wanted a last minute schoolie thing. He wanted to go to Japan with some mates. Anyway,
Mm,
got online and went on for hours online, booking all these routes and what's the cheapest. I eventually sort of said, look, just ring this lady that I know. And what he was doing wasn't allowing this backstreet way of getting to Japan. Apparently, the countries it was stopping in had to apply all these visa rules and extra
mm,
cost. So the flight, even though he'd gone online and worked out that it was a lot cheaper, like it was $400 cheaper than going with Qantas,
yeah.
it was actually going to be dearer and take an extra day because, so, it's not always what you see on the net, is it? Like,
Exactly. And, there's really tricky little things in there that sometimes you don't realize. If you book yourself onto a flight with a 2 hour layover at LA and and you're thinking you're going to get to your next flight, you're not. Like, there's no way you're going to make it through LA in that time. And you might be able to book that flight online with that 2 hour because every airport has what they call a minimum connection time where the airlines have to allow for it. But if you don't have that kind of inside knowledge to actually know, well, actually it's going to be super tight and this isn't going to be an enjoyable experience. But if we book that flight that's an extra hour away, it might sound like you're having a longer layover, but your experience is going to be better. So for us, it's really all about the experience and that people have these amazing holiday experiences. It's not going to always be the cheapest option, but what we're aiming for is for people to walk away with just the best experience they possibly can within the boundaries of what they have available to them from a budget time, all of those sorts of factors coming into it.
yeah. Now, from your personal experience, you're obviously well traveled. I've never met a travel agent that wasn't, but you have lived in many countries abroad over as well as
Yep.
dragging children around on that journey.
And
Now,
dogs, yeah.
just also explain to us you did your 10-minute talk at BNI Focus the other day. Talk us through that. If I get the term right, is it neurodivergent?
Yep, that's it.
Oh, I got it right.
So you got it right. Well done. So you're right. I've traveled to over 25 countries. I've lived on 3 continents and did 5 intercontinental moves in 5 years, had a baby on the way and took a couple of dogs with us. So, we lived in Namibia in Africa and we've lived in Europe and then back in Australia. So it's been a pretty wild ride and I wouldn't change it for the world. But one of the things that I'm really passionate about, apart from like, I believe in travel should be for absolutely everybody, and I will happily book anybody to travel no matter what they want to do. I'll make it happen. But I'm really passionate about opening up travel to the neurodivergent community. We are a fully neurospicy house. So there's no one in my home that isn't very sparkly with their neurodivergence. And we've discovered along the way, a lot of tips and tricks and important questions to ask and things to consider when traveling with neurodivergent children and adults, and as the adults as well. So I'm really keen to kind of open travel up more to people in that space because a lot of people who are neurodivergent or have neurodivergent children find travel pretty overwhelming and a little bit scary. And there's a lot of sometimes it feels like there's a lot of unknown in travel, and unknown is not necessarily a neurodivergent person's favorite word. So by helping take that unknown out of it and really, supporting people through that process again to make sure that they have the best possible experience for them, is something I'm really passionate about.
Yeah, no, it's fantastic. And look, on a BNI point, there was the importance of doing your 10-minute talk and the importance of having a good one-to-one with someone. Like, I mean, yeah, I never knew that, that you could cater holidays for that and what was involved. And yeah, so I just think it was fantastic. And I wanted to make sure we mentioned it today. So for
Thanks.
anyone listening that was in that situation, that yeah, there's people out there like yourself that can help them through it. Let's get on to why you joined BNI because I'll talk about travel all day long. Let's
Me
talk
too.
about why why you joined BNI. Now, I believe it didn't start here on the Sunshine Coast, your BNI
No,
journey.
so Matt, who I spoke about earlier, who's the founder of Travel Project, has been a member of BNI down on the Mornington Peninsula in Victoria. And when Matt and I were talking about, how to build my business and what strategies I could use, he said to me, the absolute best thing you can ever do is join a BNI. And to be honest, I thought that was absolutely terrifying because I've always convinced myself that networking is not my friend. It's not something I'm good at. It's not something, this is what I'd kind of the stories I'd been telling myself. And so it took me a little bit to convince me to do it, but I went along to Focus and went as a visitor and checked it out one day. And I instantly thought, oh, I can do this. This I can do. Like, this doesn't feel like these, big, very awkward sort of like some of those networking things you can go to. I could feel quite awkward and overwhelmed. And if they're too big, I kind of feel like I just need to go and hide in the corner a little bit and all of that sort of thing. But, you know, Focus, where I'm a member of, has been super welcoming. And I just instantly was like, yep. And I was filling out the application form straight away.
Yeah, no, it's they're a good group of people, and you hear it quite often that people do join. They might not be good public speakers and, or there might be some barriers to getting up in front of people. It doesn't take any of them long to really get on top of it. And, it helps them in their own sales and their own businesses as well. So, no, congratulations for doing that. So, how have you used BNI so far in your journey, to enhance your networking and get referrals?
So I really focused. I only joined in July of last year, so I've been a member now for 7 months, 8 months, and I've decided towards the end of last year that I was really going to focus on actually going outside of my chapter. So I kind of challenged myself to go to every chapter on the Sunshine Coast before the end of the year, and I think I've done it. So
Yeah.
every week I booked myself in as a visitor, and I went to every other chapter. And I think I went there for a couple of reasons. I wanted to just see how other chapters ran and what maybe we could take out from that for our chapter that I thought was really good, but also just to practice that networking and getting out because I knew I'd be walking into like environments that had really supportive people in them. So I used it a lot for that. And then I've made some great connections out of that. One of the ladies from your chapter had introduced me to travel agents in Japan who I'm now working with on, some projects. So I'm like talking to people internationally. So I've really just focused on building, I guess, that muscle for myself of networking and building the trust of people and my own being out there so that people think of me when it comes to referring.
Yeah, I always say, and if you listen to any of these podcasts, I always get to it at some point. Visit chapters, go out and visit other chapters. It's amazing. And, I mean, I know a lot of people do, but a lot of people don't either. And
Mm.
I think sometimes people have a hang up about, oh, it's not my chapter. I'm going to another one. I'm stepping on anyone's toes, blah, blah, blah. You just got to go out there and experience it and build your network. And it
Yeah.
works well. As you said, you get this network of people together, which leads us into our next question. It's like, how has BNI helped you solve any of your problems? So, as far as what, you're doing, how have you used that network to help you in any regard?
I think that one of the main things is probably that I've been able to just by talking to other people, especially one-to-ones, talking to
Mm.
other business owners, and just kind of, it's almost like an opportunity when you're by yourself at home, working from home, even though I've got the support of, the guys down in Melbourne and stuff, like just having that regular conversation. I had a one-to-one with one of our members this morning, and I walked away from it going, oh, I really need to do X, Y, and Z that in my strategy for marketing, because I kind of talked it through with him
Yeah,
in a way that I wouldn't have done with anybody else. But because I know that I can have that kind of conversation with him, I think that that's been really, really valuable for me, is just
yeah.
having those supportive ears to kind of bounce ideas off.
Yeah, no, and that's you'll find that network will grow the more you visit other chapters and you get to know other people as well. Like all of a sudden you'll be like, oh, well, I need to know about this, and you'll go, yeah, it becomes an extended family. Look, I know you're pretty new to BNI, but have you had any standout successes in BNI so far as referrals go?
Look, I think probably really interestingly, probably the very first referral I got has probably been my big standout at this point, where I really was pretty fresh. And one of the guys in our chapter um just rang me one day and just said, oh, look, one of my clients is, I was just chatting with them and they're talking about that they want to do a trip to Japan. What do do you think you could help them? I said, sure. And I was actually in Bali at the time. So I was like, yep, get them to ring me or I'll ring them. And so I was like sitting in my hotel in Bali, ringing them and talking to them. And like they've ended up being a client that I've sent on, well, when they actually do go to Japan in a few months' time, it'll be the third trip that I will have booked for them. And so they're already repeat clients for me, and they've been fantastic. They're exactly the sort of client that I'm looking for. They want to travel, they want experiences, they're open to suggestions, they're great. So yeah, right off the bat, and that referral has well and truly paid for my membership for the year. So I'm happy.
Yeah, that's fantastic. Yeah, that's great. Great to hear. And I mean, back to the referral thing, they'll be telling their friends as well, and then it just
No,
it works and works, especially when you got a service like your own, where you just put stuff together and take the stress out of it. And I know you're very experienced, based, so that's great. Hey, listen, what advice, given your journey to date in BNI so far, what
mhm.
advice would you give to anyone listening to this podcast, whether they're new to a chapter or thinking about joining?
So I'd say if you are thinking about joining, whatever is like tickling away in your tummy or in the back of your mind that's kind of making you question yourself, just push yourself a little bit further. Like it's going to be worth it. Like just, even if it feels like it's really outside your comfort zone, you'll find very quickly that you'll be absolutely in the center of your comfort zone when you join a chapter,
Yeah.
and those people will become your comfort zone. So for anyone thinking, I would say that. For anybody new, I really strongly suggest just go and visit other chapters. Just go and have the experience of seeing, not just to build your network, but just to see how other chapters work and get ideas for your chapter to try and bring that back and maybe help things in your chapter as well. So yeah.
Yeah, that's a good way to look at it. Yeah, you always pick something up, don't you? It doesn't matter. Every
Right.
chapter, I mean, that we have the core, program that we follow, obviously, which works right around the world, but every chapter has its own little quirks and its own way of doing it. And you do. Sometimes you pick things up and you
Yeah.
bring it back and make your chapter better as well. So, no, fantastic. Good advice. So, look, what's next for your business? What's on the horizon? Any exciting plans?
So I think that at the moment, my biggest focus this year is I want to really focus on making sure that the neurodivergent community knows who I am and where I am and what I can
Yeah.
do for them. And I'm really, really hoping that by the end of the year, I'll have put together, maybe with another BNI member from in Japan, a group tour for neurodivergent teenagers to go to Japan and do fun, cool stuff, and that will be done in a way that suits how they like to travel.
Ah, yeah, because and if I listened correctly the other day, it's about the anime. Is it called anime? I'm showing
Anime
my
and
age, but
manga. Yeah, yeah,
yeah,
you are. Yeah.
I'm showing my age. Sorry. Um, yeah, but so and you said Japan is a really good place for neurodivergent people because of that. They love it, and
Look, like that whole Japanese pop culture is very big in the neurodivergent community. There's
yeah,
something about it that connects with a lot of neurodivergent people. Um, and I think that Japan itself is a great destination because, like without stereotype, and it is a generalization, and it is, even though it's busy and big and got a lot of people and that sort of thing, it's quite calm and orderly and easy to travel through, and the people are quite calm. So I think that from that point of view, it's actually a really nice destination as well.
yeah. No, it's on the to-do list for me. It'll be the next thing I get you to organise. But after my son went over there and came back, he said the same thing. He said they went to the car scene things and they did all that. But he
Mm,
said it was really hustle and bustle. And he said then not far from where they were staying, like they were staying in town, but he said
yep,
they found a river, had a little fishing hut on it. The guy like rented him a boat, bought a six-pack of beers, floated down this river, catching carp with overpasses over the top of him. So yeah, it does, from his reports, yeah, it does. It's busy, but it does have that calm on it. So
yeah, it's orderly. I think that there
yeah.
is a good way to, like, even though there's a lot of people and a lot of stuff happening, I think that there's some pretty clear guidelines of how to kind of
Mm.
flow through it. So
And that would suit that community as well, wouldn't it? Because I
absolutely,
mean,
yeah,
it's a
yeah.
calming space at the same time. So
But
yeah,
there's still lots and lots of stimulation and things you can do, and
yeah,
we love a good bit of stimulation. So
yeah.
I think it's a nice balance, really great balance.
Oh, fantastic. Well, I look forward to hearing some more about that. We'll have to get you back on after you do that one. Let us know how it goes.
I
So,
will.
what's your one core value of BNI that resonates with you the most?
I think that probably Giver's Gain is probably the one that really, really gets me. I think that it's a core value that resonates with me beyond my business. So it's probably something that
Yeah.
I just resonate with as a person, in how I like to live my life and kind of move throughout my community, whether it's in a business or personal. So I think it's probably the big one for me.
Yeah, no, perfect. How can listeners get in touch with you? How do they find out what's your details?
So they can give me a call. So on 0466 899 916, or you can drop me an email, which is Megan@travelproject.au, and it's Megan with an H.
Yeah, there's a million ways to spell it, but Megan
Yep.
with an H. Yeah, and you'll happily invite anyone along as a visitor to BNI Focus. Just reach out.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Hit me up. Let me hit hit that power of one.
Yeah, definitely. We'll get involved with a one-to-one because I've been there myself. Megan's got a wealth of knowledge, and only too happy to share it and put something together for you. So thanks, Megan. We could
Thanks, Tony.
I think we talked for an hour before we started the podcast, but
We
we'll
might have.
but thanks very much for being on, and yeah, we'll see you around soon. And don't forget, everyone that's watching, don't forget to subscribe to our podcast, and you can get some tips and insights into people's business every week when it comes out on Fridays.